Jello on the beat.
Yeah, the real shop talk. Just come and take a listen. Some grown men with unbiased and honest opinions, and with no agendas, so you just gotta check it. Talking love and life from a male perspective. We keep it authentic, real, no filter. Leave a comment, be part of the show. We here to give you 5 gentlemen's views about manhood, no doubt. This the show you've been needing, yeah, it's the real shop talk. Let's go.
Yeah, what's up, everybody? How you guys doing? Come on, man. Make some noise right now for the Real Shop Talk. We in the building tonight. We talking some real talk. We having some business on the streets right now. We're going to have some business in the streets right now. We're going to talk about something that's so important. But before we get into the topic, of course, I want to start things off by introducing the crew. I am Gunter Man. I'm a relationship with self life coach. Man, I'm also the host of the Gunter Man Show every Thursday night at 7:30. I'm looking forward to this one. I am looking forward to this one. I'm going to hand it down to the professor. Derek Jones is on you, baby.
Hey, everybody. My name is Derek Jones, and I'm a certified life and relationship coach and also host of the Relationship Gumbo podcast that airs every Wednesday night at 8 p.m. And this show's going to be good. I'm excited. I'm going to pass it over to my man, Tony Watts.
Hey, sir. Hey, team. How we doing? My name is Tony Watts. I am the host of Triumphant TV, also the owner of Triumphant Media Group. Time to take it upstairs to Mr. John M. Singletary.
Hey, well, he introduced me already. I am John M. Singletary Sr. Got to put that senior in there because I got a junior, a.k.a. LJ, the DJ, the silent sixth member of the Real Shop Talk. And I'm also the gentleman who doesn't have on a Real Shop Talk t-shirt, but I'm a rebel like that, so I'm going to roll with it tonight. But let's pass it on back to the Gunner Man.
Yeah, what's up? Thank you, guys. Of course, you see we're missing one guy. Tony Massey will be in the building later on. So, of course, safe travels, whatever you got to do, Tony, before you meet us up on screen. Guys, come on now, hit like and subscribe. I want you to be a part of this. Like I said, we trying to build a community of followers that we can kind of be there, standing in the gap of all the nonsense that's out there in the world. We are the five wise men. That's right, the five wise men. That's it. How about the five wise men? We are going to be talking about tonight knowing when, listen to this, knowing when it's time to walk away. That's a hard one because for me, my mind automatically turns to relationships. But understand it's not just relationships, it's business, it's connections, it's friendships, and of course, the loved one. It's a little difficult, especially if you're married. For all the married people out there, you got to work on that stuff. When you vowed that vow, we're hoping that vow is sickness and in health. No matter what the situation is, you will ride and die. You're going to try your best to make sure that situation lasts. So this is not a get out of jail free pass. This ain't a conversation where you trying to navigate some plotting and some scheming to figure out how can I present this to somebody. So no, right now I want you to think about this subject regarding you personally, you. And when I say you, once again, think about the things that matter to you. Like first, kids, relationships between you two. That's everlasting. What are you going to do to make sure that situation gets better? Because you ain't just simply walking away from it. At least I hope not. You're just trying to figure out how to make it work. Are you brave enough to share your business with someone that can probably give you new perspectives on your situation? That's what this is about. This isn't like trying to give you some bullets to put into your gun so you could go firing it. No. We're trying to set you up so you can think about all the different avenues and ways to solve this situation, to make the situation right. But if it gets to the place where you cannot find a way out, the situation is not serving you any longer, the thing is not right for who you have been made and who've been called to be, this is when you make those decisions. So I'm going to open the floor first and foremost before I jump because, I can talk. I'm going to open the floor to my fellas. Let them jump in. It's a free forum. I want anyone who wants to share something, take it from, there's a lot of perspectives. There's a lot of different avenues, a lot of different angles you can speak from. So someone jump in and let's start this up.
Wow. Okay.
All right, I'll keep on talking. Don't have me keep talking.
This is a strong topic. Like what Rick said earlier, it goes across all relationships, from business to personal relationships. We got to understand that in loving yourself, you have to understand when to say, "Hey, I've got to move on. I've got to do something different." And it's okay. Like, and this is why this show is we having this show, because we want you to understand that sometimes it is necessary to take a break. It is necessary to say to someone, hey, we can't do this anymore because of my mental health, because of my mental safety, and it's important. So, and that's why we're here. That's why we're here to have the discussion, so you guys can understand and feel comfortable and get to know yourselves well enough to say, okay, yeah, I've got to say no. I've got to, I've got to walk away. This job is too stressful. I'm doing everything for everybody. It's Tony Massey says it all the time, and I appreciate it. No is a great thing. It's an amazing word that needs to be used more often. No, I can't do that. No, I can't go there. No, I don't have the capacity to do this anymore. No, it is very important, because no doesn't waste your time anymore, and it doesn't waste the other person's time. So I'm gonna land my plane right there.
Yeah, before the next person jumps in, of course, we got Tony Massey in the building. What up, bro? What's happening, Chief?
What's
of course,
going on?
Tonight's topic is knowing when it's time to walk away. What's your thoughts? You want to jump in?
Yeah, I had to. I didn't want to miss the show, so I went ahead and decided to just pull over and broadcast from the car. So I hope everybody can hear me. Okay, I'm not in my little studio, but I didn't want to miss this very important conversation. And Tony Watts is absolutely right. No is a complete sentence, and it's one that I think we need to do more often, especially as men, because and we've talked about this on the show before. We are raised to serve. We are, our value is tied to what we're doing. I know for me growing up, I needed to always be doing something. There was a lot of discomfort in me just resting and just sit around not doing anything, to the point where, I really felt like weekends were for getting things done. And what they really are for is rest. You know what I mean? Because you've been doing things all week. And so there's a lot of value in coming home and spending those 2 days with your family and just resting and just, rejuvenating. But sometimes being in that restful space can be very uncomfortable, especially if you were raised in this mindset that you need to always be doing something and you need to extend yourself to people, because again, your value is tied not to who you are, but the value you bring to other people's lives. And that can put you in some very uncomfortable situations where you feel like you're doing a lot and you're not getting anything in return. There was a great video. I can't remember his name off the top of my head. Tony Watts introduced me to him, Jason something. I don't want to butcher his name, but he just talked about that inability for some men to receive, even when it's time to, because we feel like we always have to give. And so it puts us in a situation where we're saying, yes, 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 I'll take care of that, I'll do that. And we're just wearing ourselves out. And then when it's time to give to the places that we feel are the most important places, our family, our wives, our kids, our own personal, our personal endeavors, the things that we care about, we don't have any time left for it. We don't have any space left for it. We don't have any resources left for it. And it's because we gave so much to everyone else. And so there is a time where we have to say, I can't do it. I'm sorry. And I've been in that situation where I've had family members or friends who see my success as a opportunity for them, financially or influence or whatever. And it's like, they just keep asking and I just keep giving. And then I start to become resentful and that relationship is ruined, not because of them, but because my inability to create those barriers and those borders and say, hey, I'm sorry, I can't do that. I can't show up for you in this way. Maybe I can help you in some other way. I can't loan you any more money. I can't move another piece of furniture for you. I can't, volunteer for this thing anymore. I'm done. This is the, extent of my ability to extend myself.
Amen.
And unfortunately, we don't do that. And what ends up happening is we walk away prematurely because of exhaustion. And that's emotional exhaustion, financial exhaustion, physical exhaustion, spiritual exhaustion. And I think that we should practice saying no sooner so that we can give less, but that gift has more of a greater impact. I don't know if that makes sense or not. It's easy for me to give what I have than extending myself and reaching down into the depths of who I am to give what I don't even have to give. So I feel depleted, and I also feel resentful for the person who's asking, not because they asked, but because I have not created that boundary and said no. And I'll land that.
Awesomeness. Anyone else?
I'll go. I think for me, it's really a lesson in self-awareness and really understanding who you are. I think a lot of times we want to point the finger at the thing we should walk away from as the problem, when it's our ability to understand ourselves enough to know what doesn't feel comfortable, so that no is easier, because it's really about you protecting yourself, your peace, your mind, your mental state, more so than it is pushing against someone that you love. And then it becomes difficult because it's that person. More so, it should be about you preserving yourself, because whatever you are to them doesn't function without you preserving yourself. It may look different, it may behave different because you had to move a different way, but you got to preserve you. You want to be here as long as possible. You want to make sure that everybody gets, if they want to get a little piece of you, they can get a little piece, but they can't have too much. And it's up to you to understand the sensitivities that you have. And that, to Tony Massey's point, we're trained to take care of it all. But once you actually take those steps to understand the sensitivities you have, the things that make you upset, the things that may stress you out, when you're able to identify those things, when they start to happen, you can identify them quicker and say, whoa, whoa, whoa. It's like, for me, stress is huge. So now, especially at this age, anything that even smell like it, I'm like, hold on. Wait. Nope, before you talk, I can feel it coming. Stay right there. That I didn't used to be like that. I used to just take it on and suck it up, and I can put everything, I'm cool, I can handle it. Now I'm like, wait, that doesn't feel right. Mom, boss, whatever, I can't do this. But I couldn't do that without being aware of the things that I go through, and really like understanding and owning the fact that, yes, I feel stressed. Yes, I feel depressed. Yes, I feel like this. Yes, this person is making me feel like this. I need to detach. That's not the easiest thing to do, but it's necessary. So I'm gonna land my plane there.
So good. So the question is now, how do you build boundaries? How do you build boundaries? Where do you start? I often say there's more information out there in the world than that you don't know, and that exists, that you have no clue even exists. There's more information out there that you do not have access to than that which you actually have. And since that's true, if that case is true, the question is, how do you start to build boundaries based on right where you are and have yet to speak to someone else about it? I often say the first thing is red flags. I often say red flags because red flags just kind of tells you it's where you're at regarding a given situation. It doesn't make the situation true, doesn't make it right or wrong. We're not trying to figure that part out. It's not good or bad or right or wrong. We just want to know where you at. And a red flag just causes you to what? Push back a little bit and register, this doesn't feel right to me. And if this doesn't feel right to me, what should be my next step? I often say, have a conversation. Now, you know how difficult that can be when you're gaga for a particular person, or you're in a work situation where you feel like at this point you don't have no means to any other financial, no other way the money's coming in. So what do you do then? When the red flags register, what, for one of the guys here, what is your next step? What do you think, guys?
So I'll hop in there just because I've done this recently. And when you think about a boundary, we think of it as a wall, but it's not necessarily a wall. A boundary is just, defined, a defined
Markers.
for a territory, for what's mine, right? So when you think about the boundaries of your home, right? This tree line to this tree line, this is all my responsibility. This all belongs to me, and this is what I'm responsible for taking care of. And so creating boundaries first starts with identifying what is yours, what innately belongs to you. And then you start protecting the boundary, right? You put up a fence, you put up some type of signage, you do something to let other people know this is mine. This little patch right here belongs to me. And so and you're absolutely right, red flags are not always red for everyone. When we get into relationships, or we start jobs, or we do anything new, we bring into it everything that we left, right? So, what's a red flag for one of you guys may not even be an issue for me. For instance, a woman that doesn't cook, right? I could care less. It doesn't matter because I cook and I enjoy doing it. So for me, someone saying I don't cook, that's not a red flag. But I'm not bringing anything into that situation that makes me feel like that's off limits, or that's encroaching upon my boundary. And I think that's the hard part, is defining what's yours first, and then creating the wall, or those things that protect what's yours. Once you make the decision that my mental health, my physical health, my well-being is a priority for me, then it's easy to have those conversations. It's easy to have those conversations because hopefully you're talking to someone who respects your boundary, right? If you're talking to someone who has no respect for your boundary, then there's no reason for that person to even have access to what's innately yours, or what belongs to you. I was married before, or in a relationship before, where my boundaries were constantly being encroached. I mean, I'm constantly just taking and taking and taking, and I allowed it to happen because I didn't define it. I just kept giving. I just kept allowing these things to happen. And it wasn't until I made the decision that, you know what, this person isn't hurting me, I'm allowing this person to hurt me. And then I decided that's not going to happen anymore. And here's what's important. And the video somebody shared in our little chat was so important, where we got to get away from, I wish I could remember this brother's name. Tony Watts, this the brother with the gray beard who wrote the book, bald head, gray beard.
The battle cry guy. John, what's his name?
Jason Wilson.
Jason Wilson, thank you so much. He made this excellent point in a video recently, where he talked about how, we can't make that pledge that no one's ever going to do this to me again, because then you react. Once you start seeing that behavior, you react in anger instead of just dealing with the issue. And not everybody needs a anger reaction. Sometimes we just need a calculated response. Like, this feels very familiar to a situation I was in, where people, the group that I was in, kept taking from me and didn't give back, or didn't recognize that I'm stretched beyond my abilities. And so instead of just saying, I'm never going to do this again, I'm never going to allow it to get to this point again. And so I'm going to verbalize and articulate, hey, I'm feeling that encroachment. And so if you care about me and you love me, then I need you to back off. And when it comes to certain people, it's not so much that you're drawing the line in the sand that is the problem for them. It's that you're doing it now. Like I had a family member who would borrow money from me all the time. And then when I said no, for them, well, you switched up. Well, yeah, I did. I did, because I realized that none of this money is coming back. You keep using the word borrow and loan, but there's no paying. You know what I mean? I'm not getting anything back. And that's the key. When you create those boundaries, that's when you really challenge the tensile strength of those relationships, because either people are going to go, oh man, I didn't realize that I was doing that, and I'm so sorry, and yeah, we let's change the nature of our relationship, or they focus on what they lose and not what you've been losing, right? So you tell someone in a relationship, I need some time to myself. Are they focusing on the time you're taking away from them, or are they focusing on the time you're trying to give back to you? So I think that to answer the question and land my plane, I think the first step is to define what is yours before you start putting up walls, because you could accidentally you start just building a fence and you haven't defined your property line, then you could be on someone else's property, right? So you need to define what's yours first, and then start protecting it and communicate what you're protecting, why you're protecting it, and what are the rules. Just because I have a fence doesn't mean you can't come over. It just means that you just can't come over at will. You have to knock on the door. You have to find the entrance. You have to approach me the right way. But I'm not pushing you out of my life. I'm just ensuring that you only come into my life in those spaces that I feel comfortable with you being there, for the amount of time that I feel comfortable with you being there. I'll end there.
And to take it with what Tony said and broaden it a little bit, right? I think sometimes we get in relationships and we don't define boundaries, and we go all the way to marriage without defining what our boundaries were. And then we start pulling and pushing and arguing about what you shouldn't be doing, what I shouldn't be doing, when we never set boundaries. I had this conversation about a month or two ago with one of my best friends, and he came to the realization. He was like, "Yo, Tone, like, I'm looking at some old relationships, and I realized I didn't set any boundaries. So what I was getting, I can't really be mad at, because I didn't set boundaries. I didn't set any particular. I was less, as we call, willy-nilly in it. I was just going along with the flow, and then when something happened, I was mad. And that's something that we would like you guys to really take in consideration. Have you set boundaries? Have you told your significant other or your friends, I don't drink anymore, so don't come approach me about drinking, right? That's a boundary. So if somebody that told, I don't want to drink anymore, every time you're around them, they're trying to put drinks down your throat as a joke or a test, you got to stop and go, listen, do you think I'm playing what I'm saying? This is what I really mean. And they continue with that. Then you have to set another boundary, because they're not respecting that one boundary that you set. So it's very important to set boundaries. And what I want to say real quick and land my point quickly, your boundaries, right? Listen carefully, will reflect around your values. Whatever your values are, you can encompass those into your boundaries. So if you value yourself, if you value your time, if you value being stressed out, not being stressed out over certain things, then you will put those things inside what your boundaries should be. These are my non-negotiables. These are the things that I can't do this because I tried and it didn't work out for me before. I know you want to show me if I push, I can do certain things and I can make it better for you. No, I don't want to play that game. You've got to show me a lot of trust for me to push that boundary back to give it to you. So instead of going back and forth and then hurting me, and then I put another boundary up, just respect the boundaries. I'll land the plane there.
Nice. Anyone else? All right. Then part of the things that we talk about regarding boundaries is something that Massey, as well as Tony Watts, talked about, is allowances. Allowances. What are we allowing? What are we allowing? Yes, whenever I share the research and discovery that I put together about the hero, the victim, and the villain, when everyone's telling their story and you're telling it to your boys or your girl, you're sharing your story about your breakup or the thing not going right at work from a place of either all the things you did right, you're the hero in the story, or you're sharing it from a place of you're the victim, all the things that they did wrong to you or the situation wasn't right for you. You'll talk about these two things, but not often do we talk about the things we did wrong in the given situation, the things that we did wrong, where we played the absolute villain in the story. But another version of being a villain is the allowances. What did we allow? What did we not set up better? Why did we get to the place and space in the situation that we're now angry at the other person because of our inability to make known the thing that mattered to us, the thing that stood out to us? So the question is now, how do you now catch yourself when the allowances that you made is you're doing it? It's not the other person. The other person just thinks this is how it is for you. How do you now manage that situation in space when the allowances no longer are in your favor? They're a constant discomfort to you. What steps should you take? Anyone?
I think that we've kind of glossed over a little bit. It's communication. It's definitely communication. You definitely have to sit down and have that tough communication that these things make me uncomfortable. I don't like these things. These things don't work well in my life. And you got to have those conversations with people, because you can't assume that people know things about you, and that people know, because you put it this way, like when you raise a child and you let a child run all over the yard, right? And the child's running all over through your through the flowers, and you get and you go and complain to your mate. I don't want them to go outside. They're always running in the flowers. But you've never told them not to run in the flowers. So where are they supposed to go? Now you're going to build a fence, right? You're just going to build a fence around the flowers. So now the person's like, why did you do that? Because you had no conversation to where this new boundary started, that you were sensitive about your flowers, right? So the kid is like, why can't I play in the flowers? I always played in the flowers before. Why can't I do that? You can't just put up a fence and then be internally mad inside because I'm outside playing ball and my ball goes in the flowers. Now I want to play on this side of the fence because that wasn't the problem before. So now I'm playing on this side of the fence with the ball. I'm stomping on the flowers. You can't be mad inside about that. You have to express what that looks like. I put up the fence because I do not want you playing in the flowers. The flowers are beautiful. The flowers are not there to be stomped on like the grass. That's a boundary. You have now set a boundary. And I think that's very important. But I'm going to take this left field real quick. I apologize. Also, when you talk to your friends, right, you have to be very aware, and I'm talking about your friends, people you consider your friends, right? You have to be very aware of who they are and where they came from, especially if you've had those conversations, right? And sometimes people during their healing might tell you some things that happened in their lives, and you might not catch on, right? Because say a person doesn't like yelling. They just, for whatever reason, they don't like yelling. But every time you talk to them, you got your voice is on 10. And they pulled back from you, right? Maybe they didn't understand how to say, this is my boundary. But if they told you before, other people in their past did this, and this is what I did, without saying this is my boundary, it is also our responsibility to go, wait a minute, time out. Are you saying that this is uncomfortable for you? Is this why you push those people away? Or this is why those people are no longer in your life? We also have the responsibility to know our friends and be like, hey, I think you're acting different, or you did something different. You told me you did this before with somebody else. Am I encroaching on that territory? I think that's important as well. I'll land right there.
Nice.
So I'll jump in real quick. Where this goes for me in my head when you talk about allowances, it's more really about, when we talk about boundaries and kind of what I alluded to before, it's almost like you're self-inflicting pain on yourself. But you've been doing it so long that you've convinced yourself that it doesn't hurt. And so the people on the outside don't even recognize that you're in pain because you're so used to hiding it. And so when we talk about what we allow people to do and the allowances that we give people, it's so seamless that a lot of times we don't even realize that we're allowing people into these spaces. And so the question is, how do we filter it? How do we manage it? First step is to realize that you got a problem, right? You like hurting yourself. I got a problem. I'm allowing these people to make me feel like this, and I'm afraid to tell them. Why are you afraid to tell them? This could be your mama, your best friend, your coworker. What is it about me that's afraid? I'm using that word on purpose to talk to them. What is the possible outcome? That they don't deal with you anymore? The possible outcome is what? They might not be a friend. They may react negatively to it. Then you got to ask yourself, who are you doing it for? If you're doing it for you and your own betterment, this is what I always tell my daughter. If you erect boundaries with your friends and they fight you on it, they vehemently fight you on it, now you have to renegotiate what that friendship really is. And should it even be a friendship at all? Because that's really another side effect to realizing that you have boundaries and you have something to protect, and you realize that you've been allowing allowances to somebody that should have never been there in the first place. Right? Some people we can dismiss, some people we shift, and people like our family members, we know we can't move, but we can manage how we deal with them. Right? We can manage how much time we give them and what in the spaces that we allow them into. And I always say, if you really love me, then you're going to respect the fact that I need my space. So then it becomes a lesson, like Tony Watts said, in communication. Just having communication isn't enough. It's how you deliver the information sometimes. Sometimes you have to have certain tact with certain people in your lives because you don't want to break the bond, because a lot of the bond is based on you pretending like everything is okay. So it's your responsibility to make sure that you deliver your message in a way that hopefully they can digest. They may not like it, and it may take them some time, but you got to stand your ground because it's for you. If you're not like number one on the priority list, because I've put myself number 15 sometimes, then what are you doing? Like, these are the realizations that we have to come to in life. And sometimes it takes people a lifetime to get there, but you gotta protect that thing. Because all of that stress and anxiety and all that stuff that builds up, worrying about what other people thinking and moving and doing all this stuff, at some point you're gonna crash and burn. It may not be now, may not be 5 years from now, but it takes a toll on you. So I'm gonna land there.
Excellent.
I think another part too is your comfort in the allowances. And what I mean by that is sometimes we allow people to do things to us or go beyond our boundaries because of what we receive, right? We don't want to change the nature of the relationship, because although we feel like we're being encroached, what we get out of it seems like or feels like a quid pro quo, right? So for instance, I take like a person that's in an abusive relationship who knows that they can't survive financially on their own. So they allow that disrespectful behavior, that abusive behavior because they don't want to feel the discomfort of starting over and going out there and losing all of the comforts that that person provides. And so you start justifying the behavior because, yes, this person does this to me, but they also give me this or they also provide that. And I think as men, we do it, with sex, in relationships. Yeah, she checks my phone and she doesn't do anything. She's not a great wife, but she's fine. Or I like, she does have sex with me or whatever the case. I don't, it's like we have to be willing to go into a place of discomfort. Even with family members, I don't want to ruin Thanksgiving. I don't want to be, uninvited to the family reunion. So I'm just not going to say anything about this overbearing family member who is constantly out of pocket, who is constantly disrespectful, who is constantly doing things that they're not supposed to do, because I don't want to lose the connection with my family. And you have to be willing to give up everything in order to find, to really protect who you are, protect your soul. You got to be able to walk into that place of discomfort, especially if when you evaluate the relationship or evaluate the situation. I mean, even work, I've been at jobs where I'm being not abused, but I'm definitely being used. I'm definitely not being paid my worth. And so I'm going above and beyond because I feel like if I don't do this, I'm going to lose this job. And it isn't until I realize that they are literally milking me for all of my talent and all of my skills and not matching that with compensation that I say, I'm not only am I willing to lose the job, I realize the job is going to lose me. And so this is no longer worth it to me. These long nights, this working on the weekends, these golden handcuffs that I've applied to myself, I'm losing contact with my family. I'm losing my free time. I'm stressed out all the time. It's not worth it. I'd rather take a pay cut and not feel like I'm constantly having a heart attack than stay in this situation so that I can, take vacations and wear nice clothes and have money in my pocket. So that to me is the other part. Again, the allowances is not always about what someone does to us, or what we allow people to do to us, but what we feel like we get out of it when we allow that to happen. I'll end.
Well said, guys. Well said. Anyone else before I continue with this one? I want to add a little something to it.
Yeah, real quick. What Tony said is important, and also when it comes to family, right? When it comes to like family reunions and things like that, we do sometimes be quiet so we can keep the camaraderie. We can keep things, flowing even. We don't want to, da 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 da. But you speaking up to say, hey, I am uncomfortable with the way you act. I don't really appreciate it, right? You might be the voice for everybody else feeling the same way that I should not say anything, right? And I'm not saying, because there's and what we're trying to get clear here is there's two ways to do things. This is the wrong way and the right way. People will tell you 1,000 times, it's no matter what you said, it's how you said it. So if I just jump out, using Rick for example, go, Rick, I hate when you smile at me at the cookout. Da 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 da. How's that gonna make any sense? How's Rick gonna receive it if I'm yelling and screaming at Rick? Right? How's he gonna receive what I'm talking about if I'm yelling and screaming? But I'll go, hey Rick, I think you fake smiling with the rest of the family, and you said this behind my back and that behind my back. We need to really sit down and talk and find out what's going on, because I'm feeling uncomfortable. I don't want to come and be around my family if he's going to be here, and I don't want that to happen because you're my family and I love you. Those are those hard conversations nobody wants to have, and then year after year after year, this thing is building up, and I'm going to just say it like this: you're going to Will Smith somebody. I land my plane.
Okay, we'll take that. Anyone else? Well, what comes to mind for me, especially in relationships, part of the allowances is what did you let go? Let me explain that. What did you let go? The relationship is moving in a particular rhythm and rhyme. It has a certain beat to it. certain things are being done by they're doing it. Then all of a sudden, you found yourself no longer being satisfied by a particular thing or a new thing being done, and you kind of just let it happen because you don't want to rock the boat. You don't want to mess up this good vibe or good energy. But what you're actually setting up is an allowance, because you're going to let go of something that's core to you, that matters to you. You're going to let go of something that you're used to. See, whenever you get to a place and space in your relationship where you find that you're just coasting, one of the questions you have to ask is not simply what did you allow, but you also say, what did you let go? What thing that was working for you between you and that person or you and the business that you actually gave up as time went on? Why are you no longer requiring that particular thing? Why are you no longer in need of that particular thing? See, there's one thing to allow particular things, but then there's also the other side. What have you let go during the building of this relationship that no longer that you still feel you need? You let it go, but you still feel you need that. So a part of the allowances is, once again, you could think about the things that you allow in a relationship that doesn't sit right with you and you're not willing to talk about. You could take it from the Tony Massey idea, like you don't want to lose out on something that, I'd rather get the crumbs than none at all. I'd rather get some crumbs than none of it at all. Or thinking about it as letting it go. What did I let go? So let's circle back to the original question, talking about knowing when it's time to walk away. How would you sum that up? How would you know when it's time? What offenses, what things are no longer pleasing to you for you to get to the place where in space when you're saying, I no longer want to do this? What's some of the signs to you?
When you've had enough, like when it's so that's I guess that's when you have enough is it's a you thing, right? It's up to each and every person, because you can hear somebody go, "Oh, I wouldn't deal with that." Well, you haven't been in my shoes to figure out how much I can and will not deal with. So that's a you thing. So for me is when I feel that you're not listening to me, that you can't hear me at all. I've come to you several times. We've had this discussion several times, and you keep acting like my issue is a joke. So at that point, it's time for me to walk away. It's time for me to give you some space to say that I'm not playing. This is for real. I need you to respect this. Like if you need me to respect something that you have and I do that, I'm going to need you to reciprocate the same way for me. So for me, it's when I feel that I am no longer being heard of what my boundaries are. It's time to step away. If it's a job, like Tony Massey said, and we said across the panel, if you're not making the coins you think you need to make, and you put your resume out there, and you go to sit down with your boss and go, hey, listen, I'm working 88 hours a week, and we haven't up the salary or anything. What can we do? Oh, the budget's tight. Okay, here's my 2 weeks. Like you have to put yourself first as the priority. And if you don't do that, you're going to continually be in these situations where you're going to stress yourself out to a point that you're actually killing yourself. Because if you just look up stress, just Google the effects of stress, and when you see all of the things that come behind stress, and I just want to tie it in if you haven't realized it yet, people not respecting your boundaries and you not saying anything causes stress, because you start arguing with yourself. You start talking to yourself about why they always doing this. I can't stand when they do that. And then you have this thing that's a trauma response when you don't respond to the person because A, you don't want to argue. B, you feel that they won't listen anyway because that's just the way they are. When you start making excuses for everybody, you are stressing yourself out. You are putting their feelings and who they are above you. And when you do that, stress will mount on you. And what else will happen is every other area of your life, this pattern will continue. And you won't understand why you are stuck In every other area of your life, it's because you won't speak up for yourself to say, this is what I need. And if I can't have this, I gotta go. I'm gonna
So this bothers me, right? Because I think most of us aren't proactive about this. Everything we talked about, we're reactive to it, right? We really don't even, we generally speaking, don't even bring these topics up about boundaries to the people that need to hear it until we're at our breaking point or until we've already broken. And then we're like, wait, I'm broken. Now I need to tell you what my boundaries are. And that part of it is sad because you've had to basically go through a sort of a trauma before you realize that you needed to protect yourself. So it's not an easy answer because, like I said before, we've convinced ourselves that we can take it. And to come outside of that dysfunctional comfort is hard to do. It's so hard to do. And we talk about it tonight from almost kind of like a bird's eye view, but when you sitting in it, it's hard. Like when you say, like, what do you do? What does it feel like when you need to, what are some of the things that you feel that would make you act? It's hard because you convinced yourself that you like the way that crap tastes. Like you, so in order for you to really like get it, you gotta go through something. That's the part that sucks. Like, and that's why conversations like this are important because maybe it'll spark something in somebody to say, I'm not at the breaking point yet, but let me figure out how to protect myself because a lot of us had to break first. I had to break first. I had to go through dealing with physical things that happen because of stress before I said, I can't physically take this. Now you got to stop. What if I'd have did that 10 years before, 5 years before? What would my life have looked like? So we really have to be proactive about this because we know innately what things that don't feel good feel like. We just have to be smart enough to know that that's not how we're supposed to feel. If that makes sense. So I'm gonna lay in there.
I know one of the things that stand out for myself when it's getting to the place that I need to go is when the other person can't admit that they're wrong and they can't say sorry. For myself, that's a trigger. Someone that never takes the blame for a situation being what it is and the part that they played. For myself, because as I'm learning you, I have to assume that you're learning me. And my ways are not your ways, and your ways are definitely not my ways. And there's no way in the world that you think that you're going to function with me and always do something right. No, that's impossible. You can't be spending quality time with me doing things the way you think is right and not cause offense somewhere along the line. I'm not you. So the way you see things, the things that's right for you and how you believe things could be and what the timely fashion of particular things taking place, all that's based on what you grew up around, what you believe, but your beliefs are not the standard for everyone on the planet. Your beliefs are not the standard. So if you can't get to the place and space where you can say you're sorry, that you can't say you're sorry about a situation, or then I was wrong, and here's the reasons why I was wrong, that's a clear sign for me to be like, time for us to cut ties. Time for me to bow out. And is it possible? Is it possible to actually be in a relationship and bow out as friends still and not let it get to the place where it's a boiling point for you, where now you've been through the trauma yourself. Remember, because no one speaks to you more than you speak to you. So you're the one that's having this conversation, this long back and forth. Oh, I shoulda, I coulda, I woulda. Man, why am I doing? You're doing this for a long period of time to the point that that person has no clue what's going on sometimes. And see, another thing too is like, you have to understand this. When you mention to someone the thing that has thrown you off, you got to give that person grace. And when I say grace, is because it's not their norm. It might trigger something traumatic to you, but you've been through that particular thing. You see that as a negative. And even if you sat there and you described to them why this particular thing did a particular thing to you and why you feel this way about it, you have to understand that other person still has to get to the point where it now remembers what you shared with them and then could acknowledge and act from that position. Since I didn't go through that trauma, you shared it with me. No matter how passionate you were in your sharing, because I didn't go through it, I still have to remember it, and then I have to respond from that place. That's not my knee jerk. My knee jerk is not even to consider that because I'm not thinking about that. It's not how I was brought up. So these are the things that you have to consider when you're growing to know, when you're getting to know someone. You can't always feel that your way is the only way. You can't feel that your way is always the right way, no matter how much passion you do it, because people will do things with the sake of love, but I love you. But that doesn't mean you were paying attention close enough to know how to serve me, how to do things. Because see, you have to understand the definition of love. I often say nurturing another into new possibilities, but another form of definition for love is being able to take the time to pay attention close enough so you know how to share your thoughts, your likes, your dislikes, your concerns, your passions, your pet peeves in a way that the other person can receive them. You're going to pay attention to the person long enough to know, how do I need to say this? What do I have to do to set this up so they can receive it? Because your goal is that they receive that information. How you go about doing it can't be what you think is the best way of doing it. The idea of, I'm just going to keep it real. No, keeping it real a lot of times is just straight rude. It's you being able to think about, how in the world can I present this? I know this about them. I understand that about them. Maybe this is the best way that I can formulate my thoughts and share it with them, because your desire is for them to receive it. And if they receive it well enough, that they will be hoping to do something with the new information. That they will do something with that new information given to them. Another thing when we talk about red flags is being able to find out from the other person, is that their truth? Is that who they really are? Because if that's really who you are, and that's something that doesn't sit right for you, you have to be brave enough to say, then let's just separate. Let's just go our own ways. Because it's not always based on the things that trigger you, based on what you've been through. Sometimes something that's a red flag is really who that person is because of what they've been through, and they just can't help it. They just don't see things another way. So you need to say, okay, well, then let's just save the friendship. It's gonna be hard to say goodbye, but let's save the friendship. What are some other things?
Can I jump in real quick, Rick?
Yes.
Erica from Dope Discussions Live put up a comment that I believe is very, very important. Because she says, we're the generation, meaning Generation X, on the front line, actually experimenting with this boundary thing. We're still torn between breaking the pattern and still falling back into the pattern. That's very important, because when you read that, people from our generation, we understand what this means. We understand where we come from and the stock that most of us come from, where it's do as I say, not as I do. I know you don't like your uncle, but that's your family. Go over there anyway. This is where we come from. And so now, with the way society is going and people are being more vocal and therapy is becoming more popular and we're able to really voice our opinions, now we can say, wait, I'm not going to let you do that. But then there's that other part of us that says, I'm bucking my programming. I'm supposed to just do and not really rock the boat, but I need to rock the boat so I could feel better. So it's almost kind of like a tug of war for people. And the easy thing is to just sit into what you've been taught. That's the easy thing, because we think that that's how it's supposed to be. But I wanted to bring that up because that, like, when she said we're on the front lines of experimenting with this, that hit me hard, because I'm like, we are. Like, you thinking about people who are now in their 40s and 50s really starting to own their voice, really starting to like venture out and do the things they always wanted to do at 40. Like, think about that. And the only reason that we feel confident enough to do that is because in our 40s and 50s, we don't have to be scared of our parents no more. So we can go ahead and do what we want to do. Hey, yo, I'm 45 now. Like, let me go start this business, because I know you can't tell me just go get a job. Like, I've lived my life now. I can make these decisions now. It's real. So now when you talk about boundaries, we're talking about really new territory. Not that people never did it, but we didn't do it in mass. We told the line for our family, because the family said we need to do this. We need to go to this school. We need to go here. We need to do this, so we won't be successful. So let me follow because I don't want to disappoint other people. And those people were the people that we're supposed to set boundaries with. So I'm gonna land there.
That was excellent.
Yeah, that's a great point. I was going to point out Erica's comment as well, because it's definitely profound and very powerful. Because Derek said it earlier. Imagine 10 to 20 years ago, we mastered boundaries and where our kids would be now. Because a lot of kids, they think they're mastering boundaries, but they have no idea. They're on the extreme end of what boundaries should look like, because they're so sensitive about a lot of things. So they're on the extreme end of how fast they're going to cut somebody off. And Eric is right. It's difficult between breaking the pattern and falling back into it, right? Because if you don't have grace going into this thing, you're going to alienate yourself from a lot of people, because you're just worried about me, when you could actually be the boundary problem. That's a whole different conversation. So it's important that when we sit back and talk to kids, we have to let them know we want you to be aware of how you're feeling. We want you to set your boundaries, but at what cost are you setting these boundaries? Have you really examined? Have you really spoken to the person logically? Have you really spoken to the person from a place of love and calmness to have this discussion? Or every time you felt the person did something wrong, and then you waited 5 to 6 times till you blew up to say what you had to say, and then you both had an argument. Oh, I'm done. That's not the way. The way is to have the conversation from a place of space of love and calmness, not yelling and screaming at each other, because no one gets anywhere if you're in that position. So Erica's probably the most profound comment tonight, because it's true. We're trying to balance this thing out so we can teach the ones behind us there is a right way to do this, and there's a wrong way to do it. And we have to find out where that middle ground is. And that middle ground is very, very hard to find, because if you slip too far to the left, you will be back into your old patterns. So we'll land right there.
Yeah, definitely. That makes me think of, the silent generation, that silent generation of adults who never really had those long conversations. Imagine my dad sitting me down and having the conversation about the importance of living my truth and speaking up when something's uncomfortable for me. It's not right or wrong. Speaking up if something's uncomfortable, because now I'm trying to at least have a conversation with someone that I think is doing and saying and doing something that is causing me an offense. So often we talk about in these new times being authentic, but I think more important than being authentic is being truthful. Because authentic often means that you're just comfortable doing whatever the situation is. That's me showing up as me because I'm comfortable doing X, Y, Z. But in truth, what's your truth? if something's triggering, even though it goes against cultural norms, either it goes against family ways of being, even though it goes against that which the person that you put up on a pedestal says that these are the things that you need to do to succeed, it goes against all the things that like, but this doesn't sit right for me. Let me speak up. Because how do you share with kids nowadays about the importance of having a purpose or setting a goal or going after a dream if we now, as the parents or the adults, tell you all the things that you can't do and why that's not a smart move? How does that work? Don't put your insecurities, fears, and lack of belief on the new generation that is supposed to say sky's the limit and beyond, as long as it's not leaning it towards something that's going to hurt them, of course. But why not chase the dream, chase stuff that I could have never even imagined for myself? So why would I put my thumb on them and say, no, that's not the right way of doing it? Why don't you pursue it and see where it leads you? Because if you're doing it with passion, if that particular thing that you're pursuing isn't the answer, I believe that you will find the answer along the way. You will find the thing because you've been brave enough to pursue it. So now, once again, the question is, knowing when it's time to walk away. Who knows? But I know the foundation is based on what's right for you. What's right for you as an individual. And then to have the conversation and find out. Not let the stuff sit. Don't let it fester. Don't let it be. No, if it triggers you right then and there, have the conversation right there. And understand when you have the conversation, the other person isn't you. So you got to give them the understanding that I might have to tell you this a couple times and not still be mad at you, but I might have to most likely I'm going to have to tell you this more than once. Don't touch the stove. Don't touch the stove. It's hot. 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 But how it is in real life, you can't get caught up with, well, I told you. Well, no. Anyone that has ever played a sport, no. The coach can tell you exactly what to do a matter of seconds before you attempt to do it, and bits and pieces of it you will absolutely forget. And the coach will look, I just told you not to turn your head if you're playing baseball. I told you not to hold your leg at this angle when you kick it. It's like it takes time for you to get it right. So allow that other person that type of grace. But when you have reached the place and space where you know that it's no longer a situation is no longer serving this really core fundamental part of you, that is the time when you have to start considering walking away from it. Walking away from it. Weights and balance. Figure it out. Can I be the real me in this given situation? Does this allow me to appreciate me in business? Does this, if I stay in this situation, is this allowing me to really appreciate and respect myself? Because if it's a situation that's demeaning or not to the level of where you believe you should be, and you're being treated unfairly, at what point are you going to start respecting yourself more than the situation and keeping the other person comfortable? We're all trying to figure this out in every given situation, right? We're all trying to figure it out. So where do we go from here? We practice. We practice on our friends. We practice on our kids. We practice on our loved ones. We practice it at work. And you see how it goes. Because there's a saying, how you do one thing is how you do all things. You don't want that habit, that way of being. You don't want those decisions that you make in that category of life to bleed into the other categories of your life. When we say we mess up on something or we fail at something, it's not every area of our life we're failing at or messing up on. It's this particular area. And in that particular area, what can I do so that it doesn't bleed into the things that I am doing right? Because, these poor habits have a way of festering and picking up friends and all that stuff. So here we are. We're already at the 109 mark. I know we have an announcement to make, but before the announcement, is there other closing thoughts that you would like to share? Anyone else has some closing thoughts they would like to share about this topic?
Well, I'll do it this way, because I don't think we talked about this part of the boundary setting. It is irresponsible, right, for me to hang out with John and to know I have to get up at 6 o'clock in the morning just because I don't want to hurt John's feelings. It is irresponsible for us to take on things that's going to put us outside of the things that we need to take care of just because we want to remain friends, right? A true friend, like my best friend or me, right? I don't have to talk to me for 2 months. I could pop up at his house 2 months in the second day, and it's like I talked to him yesterday. That's because he's my friend. Because I understand. We'll know. I understand what he's going through. I understand he needs time. I've got this tone. This is on my plate for the next 3 weeks. I'm going to be building a training for my job. I know he ain't got no time to play with me. I go sit up in his house and waste hours. No, he don't have time. When he gets time, he'll call me. But we have to be responsible to understand where our boundaries are and how do we compartmentalize things, right? How do we say, okay, I need space to do this, right? And I need space to do that. How do we do that, right? We have to be responsible. And that's part of having boundaries. Being responsible with our time, being responsible with who we are. Just because I'm putting a boundary up, that means I'm trying to achieve something. I'm trying to do something that if I don't put these boundaries up, it'll never ever happen, right? And then what will happen then is I'm going to resent you. And you don't even know, we having fun every night at the club, throwing back drinks, having a great old time. But now I'm resenting you because John always dragging me out to go to the club. No, I'm the one that never told John I can't go. So when I get fired because I couldn't complete the task at work, how am I going to blame John for that? So we have to be responsible. It's important. That's one of the things about loving yourself and knowing your values and where we're at. Because John, you dragged me to the club. All right. Good. So I just want to put that out there. Being responsible for yourself and what you got going on is extremely important. And the people that love you and around you can't see that. Again, that's a whole nother discussion. So I'll let that.
Yeah, often it says, it made me just think of another angle when it says, when people say it's not what you say, it's how you say it. It changes a little bit when you become really good friends with someone. And the way that it changes is that you're hoping that it's not so much how you say it, but what did you share? What can you take away from that which the person says? Because sometimes I might not be able to get to the place and space where I can say what I feel a situation. I can't think of, but I'm just going to say it. And you, as my friend, you can get stuck on how I said it to you, or you can actually stop and say, what is being said to me? What are you telling me? And then how can I make that situation better? Because sometimes in the heat of emotions are real. I'm not going to always be able to say that which I want to say to a person in a way that they're going to receive it well. So at some point when your closeness, your friendships, your tightness has been built, you can develop the understanding that don't get so caught up with how it's being said, but what's being said and what can you take away from that situation. It's real life. So guys, hey, so where do we go from here? Do we jump into the announcement? Do we just handle that situation right now one time? So at this time, I guess I'll be handing it over to Mr. Derek Jones, Relationship Gumbo.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes,
Real Top Talk.
Yes, sir. So, ladies and gentlemen, it's with a heavy heart that I have to say, by the end of this month, at the last show of this month, I'm going to be, I hate to use the word leaving, but I'm going to be leaving the Real Shop Talk. And it's just kind of one of those things where you're trying to fit everything into a small tube and everything can't fit in there. So you got to try to figure out like what things can you take away in order for you to be able to put everything that needs to be in there So I had to make the hard decision to take this away in order for me to kind of progress in life, in health, in family, and everything else. I've had some health things happen over the past couple of weeks, so I got to take better care of myself. I got a lot of things on the horizon, and I cannot fit everything in and take care of myself. And we talked about that a lot tonight, about putting yourself first. So I'm still going to be around. You'll see me pop up here and there. I'm still here to support the fellas if they need me, but I cannot functionally be a part of the show as it is right now. So that's the announcement. I'll be here to the end of April, and then after that, I gotta try to focus on the things I need to focus on. So I'm around. We still going to support each other and all of that stuff. But it's as I evaluate my life, it's just I gotta streamline things. So that's it. That's all. I ain't got no. I'm not gonna drag it out any longer. But that's what it is. So and y'all know how to reach me if you need to reach me. It's not like I'm disappearing off the earth. So so that's that.
Hey, well, we here. We're wishing you all the best. We're traveling with you. Know that if you ever need a hand, you need a listening ear, that we are absolutely here for you. We are journeying with you. We are celebrating you. I am your keeper, if you allow me to be.
Absolutely.
I will keep showing up and showing up and showing up, just to let you know how much I love you, how much we love you. That's for sure, for sure. Well, guys, that's it. That's it. So hopefully we will see you guys next Monday. Real Shop Talk. We're going to talk some more good business. I believe, was it Ladies Night next week. So let's join us. We'll have a great conversation with that. So with that in mind, I want to just say good night. Anyone else want to wrap up with anything? All right. So we'll leave it right there. Guys, thank you so much. Please hit like and subscribe. And of course, bring your 5 to the next one. Tell your 5 friends to come on, hit the notifications so they too can know when we're going on live every Monday night, 8 Eastern Standard Time. Or you can look us up all at the realshoptalk.net, where you can see the bio of all 5 guys. And of course, the man who's operating our social media stuff, John Singletary, is doing a fantastic job. Please follow us on Instagram and our Facebook page so we can keep this community growing. That's our mindset. Our mindset is to continue to build a place and space where younger people, even yourself, young people can hear things, different perspectives about life, love, living, relationships, and how to connect better with the world around you. So yes, please tell a friend and join us and be a part of this movement. All right. So guys, thank you so much for showing up. Thank you for all the comments. We really appreciate you guys. Thank you. Of course. What am I missing?
I just want to make something clear.
Okay.
Because you won't see Derek on the screen, that doesn't mean he's not on the team. I just want to make that clear. Derek is a permanent member of the team. He just has things to take care of. So we'll end the plane there. I don't want people to be confused about what's going on.
Yep.
Done. Well, I'm glad that he's always here. I'll have access to him. All right, guys. Have a wonderful night. Any announcements, any big shows coming up this weekend? Anything special standing out?
Well, I'm with Queen Cole on Saturday night, 8 o'clock, Triumph TV. We're going to go in with a conversation.
Queen Cole, yeah, she's definitely one of our people. We've had her on our show, so thank you. That's awesome. Keep it going. Let's keep building this. Guys, have a wonderful night. Take care, everybody. Good night.